Hi, I am Narsingh Saxena, a scientist turned management consultant and now a scholar of Vedic philosophy. Welcome to my channel, Life and the Vedas. In today's talk session, I will continue further on our topic, Unraveling Life's Mysteries through Vedas. As mentioned earlier, it is explained through 7 articles. Today I am going to talk about the 7th article in the series, which is establishing a connection with Brahm, the cosmic consciousness, the concept of yoga. If you are new to the term Veda, these are ancient texts that belong to the classical era of India. They provide a wealth of knowledge about life and explain its various aspects. My explanation is based on what has been covered in Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Chandogya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, Isha Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Narad Bhakti Sutra, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, among others. Repeated referencing is avoided to make the article more readable. We have seen in the previous articles in the series how at the time of creation of the universe, innumerable tiny parts get separated from the cosmic consciousness or the cosmic soul. Each part, called a soul, gets the covering of Maya, which produces ignorance or Avidya, which in turn makes it forget its true nature. It is provided with a body, generated by Maya, through which it operates in the world. Due to Avidya, it starts associating itself with the body and the world around it, called Sansar, which is also created by Maya. The main aim of any spiritual practice is to remove this Avidya, so that a trapped soul realizes that it does not belong to the body, which has only temporary existence like the rest of the world. It rather belongs to the cosmic soul, which is the only eternal truth and with which it eventually merges once the covering of Maya gets destroyed through the removal of Avidya. So the main challenge before us is to establish a connection with the cosmic soul or cosmic consciousness, and in Sanskrit, this process of connecting is called yoga. Yoga can be considered as a path or methodology to reach the divine. Here you will say that what we know as yoga is a set of body postures and other physical activities such as pranayama, mudra, and bandha for health benefits. You will be surprised to know that these physical routines are just part of a type of yoga or the connecting process called Raj Yoga. We will discuss Raj Yoga shortly. The Vedic system offers not just one, but many yogas, meaning that it provides us with many paths for establishing a connection with the Supreme Reality and realizing it or becoming one with it. According to Vedic literature, there are 4 yogas, which are the 4 distinct paths, each with a distinct methodology available to us to reach the Supreme Reality. The first yoga is known as the path of devotion, called Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the path of love towards the Supreme Being or any of its manifestations. Here, let me tell you that in my present series of articles, I have only talked about the Supreme Reality as formless cosmic consciousness. Vedas, however, declare that the Supreme Reality exists both as formless entity as well as an entity with form and attributes, and it takes not just one but several forms, like Narayan or Krishna, and Rudra or Shiva, among others. In my next topic titled Unraveling Life's Mysteries Through Vedas, Part 2, I will be discussing the various forms that the Supreme Reality assumes for making itself more relatable to human beings. It is more popular in Hindu religion. Bhakti Yoga is the most accessible spiritual path which requires no extensive knowledge of Vedic scriptures or asceticism. The only requirement is pure love for the divine and complete faith in it. The path is about developing an intimate relationship with the divine, filled with love, surrender, and emotional connection. This devotion purifies the heart and mind, allowing the devotee to transcend ego and merge with divine consciousness. There are 9 forms of bhakti or devotion to the divine called Navadha Bhakti. These are Shravanam, or listening to the divine stories, Kirtanam, or singing the divine glory, Smaranam, or remembering the divine, Pada Sevanam, or serving the divine feet, Archnam, or worshipping the deities with rituals, chanting deities' names or through prayers. Vandanam, or bowing down with humility and surrender. Dasyam, or serving the divine as a faithful servant. Sakhyam, or seeing the divine as a close friend. And lastly, Atmanivedanam, or complete surrender to the divine. A devotee can practice one or multiple forms of bhakti, depending on their temperament and spiritual level. There are two types of bhakti or devotion. The first is apara bhakti or lower bhakti. It is conditional bhakti, where the divinity is worshipped with some expectation or desire for something like health, wealth, success, etc. This is the beginning stage of a devotee. The second type is called para bhakti or higher bhakti, where the devotee loves and worships the divinity unconditionally and selflessly without seeking any reward. They see everything as a manifestation of the divine and serve everybody with love. This pure devotion eventually leads to the oneness with the divine and eventual merger with it, which results in liberation from the cycle of life and death, or moksha in Sanskrit. By surrendering to the divine with love and devotion, one aims to seek the divine help in realizing itself, and the Supreme Being does oblige. Some spiritual practice or sadhana has to be done initially to raise the level of bhakti, but as it goes higher, the divine being starts showering the rewards on the devotee. They get perfection or special spiritual powers called siddhis without much sadhana or spiritual practice. As compared to other paths with the divine help, they get enlightenment or moksha without needing to acquire gyan or spiritual knowledge, which is given to them by the divinity, which also rewards them with a sense of fulfillment or tripti without experiencing the desires or bhoga. However, remember that divine being gives you these privileges only when your love for him is truly intense. This love needs to be as strong as the yearning of a greedy person for money. There should be a continuous remembrance of the Lord, a deep devotion exclusively to him, and a strong desire to be with him. This is the most natural path to reach him, especially when the divinity is viewed in the relatable human form with whom we establish the emotional bond. The second yoga is the path of knowledge, called the Gyan Yoga. This is the path of wisdom, inquiry, and contemplation. It is the most direct, but at the same time, most challenging path that requires intense introspection, detachment, and deep meditation to realize the supreme reality residing within. Although intellectual knowledge is a starting point, true knowledge or gyan comes from direct experience of the supreme reality beyond all concepts. The edifice of Gyan Yoga stands on 4 pillars. These are 4 essential qualifications called sadhana chatushtaya in Sanskrit for a seeker treading on this path. The first one is viveka or discrimination, meaning the ability to distinguish between Brahm, the eternal reality, and Maya, the material world which is illusory, transient, and unreal. The second one is vairagya or detachment, meaning renouncing the desires for material possessions, ego-boosting achievements, and sensory pleasures, since these bind us to the unreal world. The third qualification is shat sampati, or 6 virtues which are necessary to discipline the mind. These include shama or calmness, implying control over thoughts, dhamma or control over sense organs, uparati or withdrawal from the material world for avoiding distractions which can hinder the spiritual progress, titiksha or endurance, meaning patience in the face of hardships, shraddha or faith, meaning strong trust in the scriptures and the guidance of a guru, and the last one is samadhan or perfect concentration of mind. The fourth and the last qualification for a seeker on the path of Gyan Yoga is mumukshatva, or intense desire for liberation or moksha. This yearning propels the seekers to go beyond the intellectual knowledge to experience the direct realization of the truth through intense meditation. The practice of Gyan Yoga involves 3 steps. The first one is shravanam, or listening to the teachings of an enlightened teacher or guru based on Vedic scriptures, especially Vedanta or Upanishads. The second one is mananam, or reflecting and contemplating on the teachings and figuring out the nature of our real self. The third one is nididhyasana, or engaging in deep contemplation on that supreme truth, which is discovered through the processes like neti and self-inquiry. This supreme truth, or Brahm, is then directly experienced through deep meditation. Neti, which translates into not this, involves finding the supreme reality by negating everything that it is not. It is a progressive elimination of all false identifications like body, mind, emotions, intellect, and ego. Finally, only the supreme truth remains. Meditating on it gives its direct experience. Self-inquiry, or Atma-vichar, on the other hand, involves exploring the nature of the true self through a series of questions like, who am I? Or Koham vichar, like, what is my true nature? Am I this body, this mind, or something else? By discarding the false identifications and meditating deeply on the awareness that remains, the seeker eventually discovers that we are not our physical body, mind, intellect, or ego. Our true self is the same as Brahm himself, which is the eternal cosmic consciousness. This eliminates the distinction between self and Brahm by dissolving the illusion of separation between them and leads to self-realization. Although intellectual knowledge is a starting point, true knowledge, or gyan, comes from direct experience of the self, beyond all concepts, through deep contemplation and meditation. The third yoga is known as the path of selfless action, performed without attachment to results and done as the worship of the divine, called karma yoga. It is a practical way of realizing the Supreme Being. Unlike bhakti and gyan yoga, karma yoga is not personal or done in isolation. Here you interact with people in the world, or sansar. You serve them selflessly without expecting anything in return, and consider that as worship to Brahm. Every action should be done as a part of one's assigned duty without self-interest behind it, and should be dedicated to the Supreme Being. Doing one's duty dispassionately with full dedication while constantly meditating upon him is the way to go. Moreover, a seeker has to avoid both aversion and attachment, or rag and devesh, to the sense objects of the sensory organs, as they can lead them astray. There are 3 levels of karma yoga. At the first level, the seeker of the path performs the actions without attachment to the results. This is called phalatiyag. The action is then dedicated to the Supreme Being. Thus, at this level, there are both work and worship. It inculcates unselfishness. At the second level, the seeker realizes that the Supreme Being is everywhere. The world is seen as his projection, and so all physical objects are his manifestations. He is also inside all living beings as their individual soul, or jivatma. Thus, the seeker serves humanity as worship of the divine. They treat their work as worship. At the third level, the seeker believes that he is not the actual doer. It is Brahm who does everything through nature. Since the 3 qualities, or gunas, which are sattvic, or denoting purity and nobility, rajasic, or denoting action and passion, and tamasic, or denoting inaction and viciousness, are controlled by nature, and a given mix of these qualities defines a person's personal nature. Thus, in a situation they will behave in a specific manner. Nature is making them do what they are doing, and they mistakenly believe that they are the doers. Since nature is not separate from Brahm, it becomes evident that Brahm is the real doer of all the actions we perform, and a true karma yogi considers himself or herself only as an instrument in the hands of Brahm, through whom he conducts all the work in accordance with his grand design which he has created for the universe. Therefore, now the work itself becomes worship, since we are now making our contribution to the scheme. So, while at the first level we do work and worship, at the second level we do work as worship, and at the third and final level we realize that work is worship. The fourth yoga is the path of meditation, or dhyana, called Raj Yoga. Here the idea is to experience the ultimate truth, which lies within us directly. The underlying belief is that we are not able to experience it since our minds are restless. If we make them calm and focused, we will be able to experience the ultimate reality. For that, a seeker is required to follow an elaborate method of meditation, which includes a psychophysical routine. Since the mind is considered the king who governs us, and we employ it directly for self-realization by following a set procedure to make it still, the path is called the royal path, or Raj Yoga, for achieving salvation. Another reason for this name is that it is a direct approach to self-realization. Without any requirement to study the Vedic literature, it is universal in appeal and can be practiced by people of any faith or belief. The methodology used in Raj Yoga is derived from the Yoga Sutras, written by sage Patanjali, who has given guidelines known as Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, which are used to attain self-realization in this path. The main sutra which defines this path says, Yoga is Chitta Vritti Nirodha, meaning the union with the ultimate truth involves restraint or nirodha of the modifications or fluctuations of the total mind or chitta. The total mind includes our conscious mind, along with our subconscious mind, intellect, and ego. The mind is like a lake in whose bottom lies the Purusha, or pure consciousness. Vrittis, or disturbances, are caused by the activities of the mind that create ripples in the lake. By achieving the cessation or nirod of these vrittis and focusing on the Purush or Brahm through a set of psychophysical routine, which includes ethical living, yoga asanas, and meditation, he can be seen or realized. The word Ashtanga is made of two Sanskrit words, Ashta, or 8, and Anga, or limbs, meaning a system of yoga that has 8 components. The order of these 8 components, as explained by Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, reflects the idea of a gradual build-up of the practitioner's momentum towards physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. The eventual aim is to acquire self-control, which would pave the way for self-realization through deep meditation, where we realize our true self, which is nothing but the cosmic consciousness. The first of these 8 components is called yama, meaning restraint that needs to be practiced in life for making ourselves ready for realizing the Supreme Being. It includes 5 items of social ethics, which are ahimsa, or non-violence, implying avoiding harm in thought, word, or deeds to any living being; satya, or truthfulness, implying speaking and living truthfully; asteya, or non-stealing, meaning not taking anybody else's possessions; brahmacharya, implying abstaining from sex outside marriage and moderation within marriage; aparigraha, or non-possessiveness, meaning non-attachment to material things and not collecting these beyond necessity. The second component is called niyama, which signifies the inculcating of internal discipline in practicing 5 virtuous activities, which are the 5 personal ethics. The first of these is shauch, or purity, implying cleanliness of body, mind, and surroundings. The second is santosh, or contentment, meaning being satisfied and happy with whatever one has got. Third is tapas, or austerity, meaning adopting austere measures in life, practicing strict self-discipline, engaging in deep meditation for generating heat or inner energy, for burning away impurities of the mind and spiritual growth. The fourth is svadhyaya, or self-study, implying study of scriptures and self-reflection. And the fifth is ishvara pranidhana, or surrender to the supreme reality. The third component of the system is asanas, or posture, which implies yoga asanas, or physical postures designed to promote physical health, energy, and flexibility. They also boost stability and comfort. Their main objective is to prepare the body to sit in meditation for a long period of time. The fourth component is pranayama, or controlled breathing, which implies regulation of the flow of the vital energy, or pranic energy, through the conscious control of the breathing process. Techniques include puraka, or inhalation, kumbhak, or retention of the breath, and rechak, or exhalation. It balances the prana, or vital energy in the body, and helps calm the mind and sharpen the awareness, which is vital for deep meditation. The fifth component of Patanjali's set of instructions is pratyahara, or withdrawal of senses, implying turning the senses inwards away from the external objects, just as a tortoise retracts its limbs inwards. It helps in breaking the attachment between the senses and their objects. This goes a long way in preparing the mind for inner concentration. The sixth component is dharana, or concentration, meaning fixing the mind on a single object of concentration. This object can be internal, like Agya Chakra between the eyebrows, or external, like a candle flame. It is a practice of fixing the mind in one place. It prepares the mind for meditation. The seventh component is dhyana, or meditation, meaning continuous and spontaneous flow of concentration without interruption. It helps the mind to achieve a state of focused attention, relaxation, and heightened awareness. The eighth and final stage of the system is samadhi, or absorption, implying complete absorption of the seeker into the object of meditation, where the sense of separate self vanishes. The person meditating, the act of meditation, and the object of meditation become one. This is the climax of the Raj Yoga, where the individual self or individual consciousness merges with the true self, the Brahm, or cosmic consciousness. Thus, the Vedic philosophy provides us with four robust paths for self-realization. By choosing any of these depending on our temperament, we may reach our goal. For example, if we are an emotional person and the heart is more involved in our thinking than the brain, then Bhakti Yoga may be more suitable for us, since loving the divine will be more spontaneous for us. On the other hand, if we are more intellectual and make more use of the brain than the heart, then Jnana Yoga will be more suitable for us. However, if we are strong, both emotionally and intellectually, we can go for either of them. In this case, the deciding factor will be whether we are warm or not so warm in our relationships. Then Bhakti Yoga may be the right choice for people with more warmth in relationships. Similarly, if a person is more outgoing, likes to help people, and is more social by nature, Karma Yoga will be right for them. However, if a person is of athletic bent and introvert, then Raja Yoga will be a more suitable choice. It is always advisable to incorporate other kinds of yogas along with our primary preference in our practice. For example, the meditation technique of Raj Yoga is often employed by seekers of Jnana Yoga. In fact, the endeavor should be to make use of all other yogas in augmenting the chosen one. For example, a seeker of Bhakti Yoga who worships Krishna as deity by chanting his name and singing his glory can also pursue Jnana Yoga by contemplating on qualities of his formless aspect as Satchidananda Brahm and relate them to his actions during his incarnation on earth. They can also pursue Karma Yoga by considering Krishna sitting in the heart of every human being and serving them as worship to Krishna. They can pursue Raja Yoga by meditating on the form of Krishna while mentally chanting his name. Irrespective of whether we opt for one or more paths, we will eventually achieve self-realization, which according to the Vedas is the ultimate goal of life, since we achieve moksha, or liberation, from the cycle of life and death. This is all for today. This completes my extended talk session, which comprised 7 sessions on unraveling life's mysteries through Vedas. In the present series, which ended today, I covered the salient features and attributes of the formless existence of the Supreme Reality, the Brahm, as delineated in the Vedic literature. Soon I will be back to cover the various forms taken by the Supreme Reality and their significance. Vedas and the related literature describe in detail their forms and attributes, and describe the transcendental realms where they reside. It will be titled Unraveling Life's Mysteries Through Vedas, Part 2. Thanks for listening.